Srila Prabhupada. This is an offering from Mandakini, a long-term resident of New Govardhan. She is imprisoned at the moment on family matters, and she and her husband couldn't come, so she sent her offering to me so I can read this out. Dear Srila Prabhupada, when endeavouring to glorify you, I immediately think of your lion-like strength with which you masterfully presented this supreme absolute truth to the whole world. On 9th of May 1971, you mercifully graced our shores with your personal presence. Shining brightly with a torchlight of knowledge, you brought perfect answers to every question. As Lord Krishna's foremost emissary and always totally dependent on his mercy, your conviction and boldness knew no bounds. You unhesitatingly told your senior men to summon scholars and intellectuals so they could question and, if needs be, challenge you. You'd love to debate and always defeated all arguments effortlessly. As a result, you were revered and respected in Australia by many VIPs, including Reverend Gordon Powell, head of Scots Church in Melbourne, who congratulated your divine grace on your fine work in Australia by attracting an impressive number of youth. Reverend J.A. Kelly, Vicar General of the Roman Catholic Church, also the acting principal of the Jesuits, and Justin Murphy, the Scientific Services CSIRO officer. What to speak of so many trainee priests and theological students. All were charmed and disarmed by you and appreciatively went away with a delicious taste of Mahaprasadam on their lips. Your magnificent legacy continues as you foretold. I will live forever in my books. Your dynamic preaching continues in your books and voice recordings, of which we never tire of hearing. A special shout out for Bharat Prabhu, because Bharat Prabhu's been selling these wonderful little audio boxes that contain all of Prabhupada's lectures. Today we prostrate ourselves before you, our beloved General, and pay for your ongoing mercy. With grateful thanks, your ever-aspiring servant, Mandakini Dasi. Thank you very much, Mandakini, for that beautiful offering. Hare Krishna. So, Srila Prabhupada, I'd like to quote something I came across yesterday. I was doing some research for something else. And Prabhupada says, as Lord Krishna's appearance and disappearance are all spiritual, transcendental, they are not ordinary things. Similarly, Lord Krishna's devotee, his representative, who is sent to this material world for preaching the glories of Lord Krishna, their appearance and disappearance is also like Krishna's. Therefore, according to Vaishnava principles, the appearance and disappearance of Vaishnava is considered auspicious. And something I was listening to very early this morning about, because we're celebrating Prabhupada's disappearance day all over the world. For some it was yesterday in America. And a beautiful analogy came to mind that they were saying that the sun set is as beautiful as the sunrise. So when Prabhupada appeared, it was a cause of great, great jubilation. And when Srila Prabhupada disappeared, it was also very beautiful because Prabhupada was being reunited with Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. But for us, of course, it was very painful. So it's very hard for Prabhupada's disciples to, just as my god sister Rasarani was describing, different things that we miss about Prabhupada. And something that I miss a great deal is hearing that outstanding, jubilant clarion call, Srila Prabhupada's here, Srila Prabhupada's here, which was it filled our hearts with great joy. Devotees were mostly catatonic from not sleeping for 3 or 4 days, trying to paint the temples, and Prabhupada once commented, everywhere I go I smell wet paint. And when Prabhupada would arrive, and because we didn't have mobile phones, of course, or any internet or anything like that, there'd be a telegram letting us know. And it was such a wonderful feeling, Prabhupada is here. So we miss that, but we will get it again, because Prabhupada said there's an ISKCON in the spiritual world. So on this very painful day, I beg Srila Prabhupada for his mercy. I beg the mercy of all the assembled Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis that I will remain a faithful servant of Srila Prabhupada. I've had different phases in my life, sometimes very enthusiastic, sometimes there's been a lull, but I'm praying that I remain always at Prabhupada's lotus feet and serving him and his devotees as much as I can. So I don't want to overextend my time, so I'm not going to read my whole thing, but I was just reading in 5th canto recently in chapter 4 verse 5, and there's a wonderful purport talking about the Jivan Mukta. That's an eternal, a liberated soul even within this body. For most of us, we understand Srila Prabhupada was a Nityasiddha, eternally liberated. So in a way, this doesn't so much apply to Srila Prabhupada, but as he was describing in the purport, there were certain aspects that really did resonate with me, that's like Prabhupada. So I'll just quickly go through a couple of those points. I did have a Narada Muni story, but Rasarani beat me to that one. So, you know, Prabhupada exhibited so many different examples of a liberated soul, and I hope I can find them. And there was another Narada Muni story also that in Los Angeles, Prabhupada was laughing during Kirtan, and devotees asked Prabhupada later, "Why were you laughing, Prabhupada?" He said, "Oh, didn't you see Narada Muni? Narada Muni was laughing." And they said, "Well, why? Why was Narada Muni laughing?" And he said, Prabhupada said, "Oh, he was laughing because to see all the malechas chanting Hare Krishna." So the first symptom of a liberated soul is apahata papa. So that means that one who is liberated is freed from all sinful life. And we can see Prabhupada's life, always exemplary, raised in a great Vaishnava family. Prabhupada told us there was never a time when I did not remember Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada's life was spotless. And another symptom is vijara, which he is not subject to the miseries of old age. And we can see with Srila Prabhupada that despite, you know, some illness in his body, he was indefatigable in his preaching. And one time in Mayapur he had a very high fever, and he was actually ill. He couldn't even get out of bed. And a very important government minister was coming to visit. And he came, and he was told that, "Oh, you know, Srila Prabhupada's not well, I don't know if he can see you." And that was the time where Prabhupada was trying to establish in India, in ISKCON's reputation. And we had, unfortunately, a bad reputation due to, you know, cinema and things like that. They thought devotees were CIA agents, all this kind of nonsense. So Prabhupada took great pains to establish our reputation. So when his servants told Prabhupada, "Oh, this minister has arrived, but I've told him that you may not be able to see him," Prabhupada said, "No, no." And Prabhupada immediately got up, even though he had such a high fever, he could barely raise his head, immediately got up, went down to meet the minister, and for 2 hours he preached with his usual, you know, incredible determination and enthusiasm. And the minister would have no clue that Prabhupada was actually sick. And then the minister left, and Prabhupada went back upstairs and then collapsed on his bed. And we could see how Prabhupada, right to the very end, as Maharaj mentioned, that he was translating Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada didn't take heed. He hated to sleep. He always said sleep was a waste of time. And Prabhupada, he's our transcendental hero. So I don't know if any of you are familiar with Sir Ernest Shackleton. Anyone know who Ernest Shackleton is? He was a very great explorer who performed unimaginable feats of heroism in the Antarctica. And of course we all know Shakespeare. So Prabhupada is a hero unparalleled. Even the great so-called heroes of this material world cannot hold even a candle to Srila Prabhupada. So it's our duty as his disciples, as his grand disciples, as his great-grand disciples, as his great-great-grand disciples, for posterity, for generations to come. It's our duty to present Srila Prabhupada's teachings, his way of life as he gave them, and not to, interpret, oh no, women can't have full Gayatri, something, these things are not according to Prabhupada's standard. And Prabhupada personally gave me, we gave me first and second together because they needed a pujari for Calcutta Temple, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. And Prabhupada personally gave me Gayatri. I sat right next to him and he gave me Gayatri. So Prabhupada's mood was very much on the, something he always hammered home to us, that you're not this body. So it's nothing to do with your body, it's what your propensities are to do service. So that we need to keep top of mind. So I won't continue. I have quite a few pages here and I'm running out of time on the bell ringer, so I can't go over. So just in conclusion, just as Krishna is never born and never dies, his devotees who return to Godhead never die and never take birth within the material worlds. Jai Srila Prabhupada.